AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that.
Through it all, I've showed that I belong in this league, even though no one else believes. I'm not so sure about that.
Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese, who has a new weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel.
But when you have a great skill set,
right,
it normally will translate. And her skill set is the ability to go get the basketball. She has the highest average for rebounding in a season. She had the most rebounds in a season.
Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc.
But like she said, I know she'll be in the gym, in that lab, getting ready when she's able to.
Remember when Angel Reese was the talk of women's basketball? Now she's in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. The Chicago Sky are suing her for using steroids. But here's the crazy part. They're saying she did it because she couldn't keep up with Caitlin Clark. Is this the real reason behind their rivalry? Let's talk about Reese's rise to fame. She was unstoppable in college, dominating the court and going viral with her trash talk. Everyone thought she was the next big thing in the WNBA. But now, it's like her whole world just flipped upside down. This steroid accusation is huge. It's not just about Reese, it's shaking up the entire WNBA. Think about it. If it's true, what does that mean for all her achievements?
Quick hitter number 2, WNBA Player of the Week. There have only been 40 triple-doubles in the history of the WNBA.
I'm filled with emotions right now, and I have a season-ending injury, but I'm filled with much gratitude for what's next.
AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that. Yeah, that's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way.
And if it's not, why would the Chicago Sky make such a big claim? You know what's crazier? This might have something to do with Reese's rivalry with Caitlin Clark. There's been bad blood between them for a while now. But here's where things get really wild. Everyone thought Reese was unstoppable, but her first 10 WNBA games tell a different story. How does a college superstar suddenly struggle to hit double digits? The answer might shock you, and it could change women's basketball forever. Let's break down this steroid scandal. The Chicago Sky aren't just throwing around accusations. They're taking Reese to court. They're claiming her alleged steroid use messed up their playoff chances. That's huge. We're talking about a team saying one player's actions affected the entire league standings. Now, about those first 10 WNBA games. Reese's performance was all over the place. In 5 of those games, she scored under 10 points. That's not what anyone expected from the college sensation who dominated headlines. It's like she went from unstoppable to inconsistent overnight. Remember that mid-season wrist injury Reese had? Yeah, that's raising eyebrows now. Was it really just a wrist problem, or was something else going on? The timing is suspicious, especially with these steroid allegations flying around.
Because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22. And the reality is the scrutiny that she's been subjected to is inexcusable. It's egregious. It's disgusting. It's wrong. And the Fever's fan base. Take a look at what Angel Reese had to say about that.
I'm happy that she came in and did. I'm sure she proved a lot of people wrong that thought, through it all, I've showed that I belong in this league, even though no one else believes. I'm not so sure about that.
End quote. If Angel Reese was older, I would have gotten on her about what she just said.
You know what's wild? This kind of scandal is unheard of in the WNBA. We're in uncharted territory here. If these allegations turn out to be true, it's not just Reese's reputation on the line, it's the entire league's. The WNBA has always prided itself on clean competition. This could shake that foundation. But let's take a step back. Why would a player like Reese, who was already at the top of her game in college, turn to steroids? That's the million-dollar question. Was the pressure of going pro too much? Did she feel like she needed an edge to keep up with the likes of Caitlin Clark? Speaking of Clark, this whole situation puts their rivalry in a new light. Remember all that trash talk? The intense matchups? If Reese was using steroids, it changes everything about their on-court battles. And here's another thing to consider. How did the Chicago Sky find out about this alleged steroid use? Are we talking about failed drug tests, or is there more to the story? The details are still fuzzy, but you can bet every WNBA team is paying close attention. This isn't just about one player or one team. It's about the integrity of the sport. If a rising star like Reese felt the need to cheat, what does that say about the pressures these athletes face? It's opening up a whole can of worms about player health, league policies, and the win-at-all-costs mentality. Let's not forget the fans in all of this. Reese has a massive following, especially after her college success. How are they taking this news? Some are in denial, others are feeling betrayed. It's causing a real divide in the women's basketball community. And what about future draft picks? You better believe every team is going to be extra cautious now. This scandal could change how players are scouted, drafted, and monitored throughout their careers. This scandal's not just about Reese, though. It's bringing up old wounds, especially when it comes to her rivalry with Caitlin Clark. Remember those comments about race and media attention? Turns out, there might be more to that story than we thought. While Reese's career is in turmoil, Clark's been on fire. She's not just meeting expectations, she's blowing them out of the water.
It's part of Playmakers Network of podcasts from Shaquille O'Neal. Caitlin Clark became the first ever rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double twice in the same season.
Breaking news, Angel Reese is out for the year with a
Ouch.
season-ending injury, she announced on her social media.
Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese, who has a new weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel.
What a year. I never could have imagined last bucket of my rookie season would be a 3. But maybe God's saying give them a taste of what they'll be seeing more of in year 2, LOL.
Clark broke the WNBA rookie scoring record, putting up numbers that have everyone talking. It's like she's playing a different game out there. Now let's rewind a bit. Remember when Reese said Clark got more attention because of race? At the time, it sparked a huge debate. People were taking sides, arguing about representation in sports media. But now, those comments are hitting different. With these steroid allegations floating around, folks are starting to wonder if there was more behind Reese's words. Was it really about racial inequality in sports coverage, or was Reese feeling the pressure to keep up with Clark's stellar performance? It's not just about what happens on the court either. Reese has been dealing with some serious heat off the court too. She's faced harassment and even death threats from some of Clark's fans. It's ugly stuff, and it shows how sports rivalries can spiral out of control. This whole situation is shining a light on some big issues in women's sports. We're talking about race, media coverage, fan behavior. It's all coming to a head, and Reese is right in the middle of it all. But here's where things get really interesting. What if Reese's comments about Clark weren't just about race? What if they were coming from a place of insecurity? Think about it. If Reese was using steroids, maybe she was feeling the pressure to keep up with Clark's natural talent.
But when it comes to death threats, like, I'm talking about people who have come down to my address, following me home. Multiple occasions people have made.
But when you have a great skill set,
Right.
it normally will translate. And her skill set is the ability to go get the basketball.
Quote, Caitlin Clark fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. Asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark.
She's been phenomenal. I'm not surprised.
It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's possible that Reese's accusations against Clark were more about her own struggles than anything else. Maybe she saw Clark's success and media attention and felt like she couldn't measure up without some extra help. This rivalry between Reese and Clark isn't just about two players anymore. It's become a symbol for bigger conversations in women's sports. We're talking about how we treat athletes, how we cover them in the media, and what we expect from them. And let's not forget, this is all happening while the WNBA is growing bigger than ever. More eyes are on the league, which means more pressure on the players. Is that pressure pushing some athletes to make desperate choices? Not just when everyone thought Angel Reese was down for the count, she's coming out swinging. But here's the real question. Can she use her past as a champion for equality to save her future in the league? Reese isn't about to let this scandal define her career. She's gearing up for a fight, and it's not just about clearing her name, it's about redefining her entire legacy. Think about it.
I have ever wanted to come, dub, and make an impact. I can confidently say I have done and will strive to keep doing so. She has the highest average for rebounding in a season. She had the most rebounds in a season.
Coming at somebody white who is a beloved star of theirs.
Y'all always doing
I
something.
think-
Y'all messy.
I
Internet,
think you
y'all
might not have
messy.
been on camera though. It was. Hey,
Yeah,
that
it was on
hey,
camera.
that was. It's
It was on
funny
camera.
now.
Hey,
The only reason that I brought up the first part about Angel Reese is this.
Reese has always been vocal about racial and gender equality in sports. Now, she might use that same passion to defend herself against these steroid allegations. You know what's wild? Even with all this controversy swirling around her, Reese is still making waves on the court. She set the record for rebounds per game and even got named a WNBA All-Star. That's not just good, that's insane. It's like she's telling the world, yeah, I hear the noise, but watch me play. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Chicago Sky. These are the same people suing Reese, but their relationship is way more complicated than you might think. Remember when they fired coach Teresa Weatherspoon? Reese was one of her biggest supporters. Now she's facing off against the team in court. Talk about a plot twist. This whole situation is like a pressure cooker, and Reese is right in the middle of it. But here's the thing about pressure. Sometimes it creates diamonds.
On the debut episode, co-host Maya Reese, who is Angel's cousin,
I'm finally able to give myself a physical and mental break. God gives his hardest
Strongest
battles
soldiers.
to his strongest soldiers.
and there's a bunch of punk, no good, you know what's out there on the male and female side. Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star, and Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc.
So you'll see me being the biggest cheerleader on the sideline in an unrivaled league. See you soon.
Reese has a chance to turn this scandal into the biggest comeback story in WNBA history. How she responds could change everything, not just for her, but for women's basketball as a whole. Imagine this. Reese steps up, addresses the allegations head-on, and uses her platform to spark a bigger conversation about athlete health and the pressures of pro sports. She could turn this personal crisis into a movement for change in the league. That's the kind of move that could transform her from a controversial figure into a true leader. But it's not going to be easy. Reese is up against some serious odds. The Chicago Sky aren't backing down, and every move she makes is under a microscope. One wrong step, and it could all come crashing down. But if there's one thing we know about Reese, it's that she doesn't back down from a challenge. This fight for redemption isn't just about clearing her name, it's about proving that she belongs in the WNBA, steroids or no steroids. It's about showing that her college success wasn't a fluke, that she can hang with the best of the best. And maybe, just maybe, it's about settling the score with Caitlin Clark once and for all. You know what's crazy? This whole scandal might end up being the best thing that ever happened to Reese's career. If she can bounce back from this, overcome the allegations, and dominate on the court, she'll be more than just a basketball star. She'll be a symbol of resilience, a role model for athletes facing adversity. But here's the million-dollar question. How will Reese respond when she finally breaks her silence? Will she deny everything? Will she come clean? Or will she use this moment to shine a light on bigger issues in women's sports? Whatever she does, you can bet it's going to shake up the WNBA.
But like she said, I know she'll be in the gym, in that lab, getting ready when she's able to.
But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship. That's not the case with all. It's not the case with most. But those who screech the loudest get the most attention sometimes. And you also are old enough to know that in this society, whether they want to admit it or not, they don't like seeing somebody black.
All right, this Angel Reese scandal is changing the game for women's basketball. We're not just talking about one player's career here. This could shake up the entire WNBA. Think about it. If Reese really used steroids, what does that mean for all those amazing college performances? And if she didn't, why is the Chicago Sky going after her so hard? Here's the wild part. This whole mess might actually make Reese stronger. Can you imagine coming back from something like this? It's like the ultimate comeback story. But it's not just about Reese. This scandal is forcing everyone in women's basketball to take a hard look at the pressures these players face. So here's the big question. Is women's basketball about to change forever? Because whatever happens next, you can bet it's going to affect how we see the sport for years to come.